You're now live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the committee. So I'd like to welcome you to the scheduled meeting of the Economy, Environment and Place Scrutiny Committee on Thursday, the 16th of December, 2021. We'll go by the agenda as normal, and the first item is to receive apologies for absence. I've received apologies from Helena and Jenny Cooper, substituted by Councillor Burnett and Councillor Wilkes. Are there any other apologies tonight? No, I see none being made. Do any members have any declarations of interest on items on the agenda, please? No. So we move to the minutes of the meeting, which are on pages 3 to 8 of your pack. And this was of the scheduled meeting of the committee held on the 29th of September 2021. Does anybody have any comments on those minutes, or can I take them as read? Okay, we'll take them as read. Thank you. I'd just like to bring to members' attention that there are a couple of changes to the agenda this evening. First of all, it was agreed at the last meeting that we would have an update on the borough local plan for tonight. As you'll see, that hasn't been included, and that is deliberately because there was an extension to the consultation period, and therefore this will now be scheduled for the next meeting in March 2022. Also, item 6 on the agenda this evening, which is the Business Improvement District for Newcastle under Lyme presentation, has had to unfortunately be postponed to the next meeting, and that's because of illness within the management team of the bid, who couldn't present either in person or virtually this evening. So that will be rolled forward to the March agenda. So that really only leaves us with an update from Cabinet and one substantive item on the agenda this evening. So I'll move now to item 4, which is an update from Cabinet. The Cabinet representative is Councillor Sweeney this evening. Did you have any update, Councillor Sweeney?
No, I haven't, Mr. Chairman, and for reasons unknown to me, it's actually been missed off. So I will speak to the Chief Executive tomorrow as to where the Cabinet was requested to review the strategic direction of operational services. So I'm not being given anything, but I will chase up tomorrow for you.
Okay, thank you. So that's in relation to, in the minutes, item 17, where there was a resolution that Cabinet be requested to review the strategic direction of operational services. So Councillor Sweeney has basically said that he will take that back to Cabinet and come back with the response for us, even though we don't have it tonight. So moving on to item 5, which is the only substantive item this evening, which is on the Future High Streets Fund, town investment plans for Kidsgrove and the Newcastle under Lyme update. And I believe you've got an intro to this, Councillor Sweeney. Yeah,
thank you, Chairman. As I'm sure everybody is aware, the council has received the princely sum of over £50 million from the government. Now it's come in 3 different tranches, if you like. One is for the Future High Street Fund, one is for Newcastle Town Deal, and one is for Kidsgrove Town Deal. And I think very wise. I think you're having this as a standing item on your agenda, aren't you, to have this discussed to where we are, which seems a splendid idea to me. Now, I'm not going to speak to it a huge amount because lady on my left, Elaine, is going to talk. She knows more about it than I do. But if you look on your minutes on page 7 and 8, you will find what was discussed 3 months ago, and basically what Elaine is going to talk about is going to be how that has progressed. It obviously hasn't stood still. Nothing stands still in this world. And she's going to give you an update of where we are now as opposed to where we were 3 months ago. So over to you, Elaine.
Thank you. I'll start, I think, with the Future High Street Fund. And just briefly going back to the Cabinet meeting in December, they were asked to make 2 quite critical decisions on the Future High Street Fund projects. The first was an appointment for a contractor for the design and development for a new multi-storey car park on the Rycroft area of town. Following this process, Morgan Sindall were appointed as the contractor for this work. Obviously, having made the decision in December, this work is still at the early stages of development, but we've been working closely with Morgan Sindall on the design and the need to understand the context of the site and the constraints of the Rycroft site so that they can develop their ideas going forward. So all that work is currently underway. The plan is that we'll be ready to apply for planning permission in mid-2022 and then start construction once that's obtained. So later in 2022, the construction period will start. The second decision that the Cabinet was asked to make in December was authority for the purchase of York Place and Astley Walk, and that was obviously approved. So following that decision, our legal team are now currently completing due diligence and further work to complete the acquisition. Our property team have been round to have initial contact with the tenants, and once the purchase complete, further works with the tenants will be taking place. Staying with future high street funds, clearly the civic demolition is underway at the moment. And although the building hasn't changed externally, internally the contractor is still busy stripping out asbestos. And at the moment they are working on time and progress remains on plan. And the final thing on Future High Street Fund is that Aspire Housing has confirmed its interest in building a new flagship development on the Rycroft site. This includes a collaboration hub with up to 90 apartments for the over 55s, social spaces and a new base for We Are Aspire. And this would be an exemplar net zero development and contribute significantly to the economic life of the town centre. Moving next to Kidsgrove Town Deal. The refurbishment of Kidsgrove Sports Centre was the first project authorised through this, and this is progressing well and remains on schedule. The next business case that was submitted was for Chatterley Valley, and this has now been approved. Town Deal funding was requested to facilitate access to the Chatterley Valley site, which remains a challenging site to develop. Town Deal funding is one element of a larger package to bring forward this site, which will be in a significant employment site for the borough and is also part of the Ceramic Valley Enterprise Zone. Approval of the funding now means that we are in a position to start a development of a grant funding agreement with the developer, with the aim of work starting on site in late spring 2022 to start that development coming forward. And following this approval for the grant funding, we expect to receive that first payment from government this month. For the remaining projects in Kidsgrove Town Deal, we have to submit business cases by the end of March 2022. So first of all, looking at the Kid Railway Station project, following the appointment of Ridge and Partners as a preferred consultancy, plans for the refurbishment of Kidsgrove Railway Station are progressing, and this is in partnership with East Midlands Railway, Network Rail and Staffordshire County Council. The refurbishment of the station is part of a wider scheme by these partners to create a transport hub at Kidsgrove Station, as well as improving the actual railway station itself. Linked to that, consultants have also been appointed for a mixed-use development in the area in front of the station, just over the bridge. At this stage, having only recently been appointed, they're just beginning their initial review of requirements and looking at who the key stakeholders are. Closely connected to these two projects is the aspiration to improve the canal area adjacent to the station and Harecastle Tunnel, and to make this more of a green route through the middle of Kidsgrove and to make it more attractive for users of the canal. Consultancy team has recently been appointed to undertake this work, and they have done an initial walkthrough of the area with Canals and Rivers Trust to look at what the potential might be in this area, how it can be improved, or equally to look at the constraints so they can understand the site as they develop their concept sketches. Moving on to Newcastle Town Deal. I think it's worth a reminder that Newcastle Town Deal was submitted in a later phase than Kidsgrove. So it's slightly further behind and has slightly longer to develop its business cases and submit them. At this stage, procurement of the consultants to support us in development of these business cases has been completed, and that was finished in November. And a company called Stantec were the appointed consultants, and they've led a consortium to take that forward for us. Business cases for each of the Newcastle projects have to be submitted by the end of June 2022. Since their appointment in November, Stantec have been mobilising, and what they need to do is to understand each of the projects. They've attended the Town Deal board and introduced themselves to the board and got themselves to understand who sits on the board and what the dynamics are there. They've had initial meetings with each of the project subgroups with a view to just finding out again key stakeholders, and they've had appointments with some of the individual stakeholders that have a particular interest in those projects. They've also received a body of information and resources that we, the council and our partners, have been accumulated over time to help them start with construction of the respective business cases. Just as a reminder, the business cases have to follow a prescribed format. So there are 5 cases that need to be put forward as part of the overall business case. And these cover the strategic, economic, commercial, financial and management aspects of each business case. And these have to be approved by both the Town Deal board and the council section 151 officer before anything is submitted to government. Although it's very early stages within this appointment, currently all items are on track to deliver within the timescales. And where we are now is the projects are being prioritised for development. So some more further forward than others. And we would anticipate being able to put them forward before the June 22 deadline, but others will need further development at this stage. That's the end of the update. If we have questions.
Thank you, Elaine. We'll take each of those in section by section. So Future High Street Fund. First of all, are there any questions or comments on that? Councillor Fear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. No, it's nice to know this is getting underway. One thing I'd like to note is that clearly this involves the erection of new buildings and the demolition of old buildings in what are quite key sites. So on the Rycroft site, I mean, lots of people are going to see this from the road going around and such like, and York Place is part of the arterial route through the town. So I'd like to urge the Cabinet and officers concerned with this to maximise the amount of consultation with members as regards the form of those buildings. This town in the past has suffered from what I would call architectural vandalism. We have a great opportunity at this point to make sure that we erect buildings which are respectful of the heritage of this town and are not just modern carbuncles dropped down and which have a very dissonant feel to them. And I think members need to be involved in that process. So I would urge maximum member engagement about the design of these buildings very early in the process.
Thank you, Councillor Fear. And I think that's a very salient point which we will put back. You can.
Yeah, it is a very salient point, Councillor Fear. I think it's fair to say that the leader of the council is a Burgess of the borough and is amazingly proud of the borough. And I think he will be very, very focused on the shape and design of these buildings. Have no doubt about that whatsoever. He really agrees with you, I think, on the carbuncle, if you like. And I think the new build will be keeping with what we expect Newcastle to be. Thank you.
But I think just to, pull on the point that Councillor Fear has stated, that is member engagement. So we would ask that at the earliest opportunity, those designs are brought back certainly to this committee, if not through a wider engagement, please. Councillor Panter.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a matter of curiosity, you mentioned about consultants being
appointed for various items of this project. Have we no idea what percentage of overall costs these consultants are likely to take up?
We have gone through the normal procurement routes trying to ensure best value for the procurements, but as a percentage of the overall spend, it'll be very small. I'm happy to check out the exact percentage and come back to you.
Any other questions, members, on this part of the agenda? There's two from myself then, and the first one may be commercially sensitive, so if it is, just say so, please, and we won't discuss it further. But yeah, obviously your place is due to be demolished, and you've referenced the tenants that are already in there are going to be engaged with. Is there a view that they will, in needing to relocate, have any financial support?
At this stage, we are exploring options for York Place, of which demolition is one option, but we are looking quite carefully at its future. As part of any plans, we will be seeking to retain all of the existing tenants within the town centre, and accordingly, we would expect to support those tenants in any moves that may be necessary.
Thank you. And the second one was with regard to the civic officers, and as you've already said, it's all internal works at the moment. When would we expect to see some external work starting to occur?
I would anticipate probably towards the autumn next year. It was a 44-week demolition process. It started late this year, didn't it? Apologies. I can't remember the exact date it started. So the bulk of the work is actually the internal strip out. And I think once we get to the demolition phase, work will happen fairly quickly.
So we're talking the summer more likely. Yeah. Okay.
I think if I can add, I think pulling the building down actually doesn't take long.
Mhm.
It's getting rid of the asbestos first, but it's exciting as is because the Aspire bringing their HQ in here. There's jobs there within the ring road, 90 more supported living flats, which is more people in the town centre. I personally think that Merrill Street, 2 or 3 years from now, will be the place to be in Newcastle. I think there's more and more businesses. I think Merrill Street's got a real good future on this, to build on the premises that are there already. I think this is going to be the place to be. I mean, we've got the new bar opening on Crossways. That's not a place I've been to, but I'm reliably informed. They come from Hanley, and it's a very, very good outfit that run that. The bars on the floor and two floors of accommodation. So I think this end of the town is, because the idea is to widen the town. It's not to move it from part A to part B and let part A go. You know what I mean? It's enlarging the town centre, and I think this is exciting stuff for Merrill Street.
It's good to hear. Thank you. So I'm not seeing any other member questions on this section, so we'll move on to the town investment plans for Kidsgrove. Any questions on that section, please? No, I don't see any.
Oh, Andy wants to say something.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Fear.
I've got a funny green light blinking with my red light, and I'm not sure it's working, but never mind. Let's have another go. Oh, it's doing the same. Never mind.
Oh, it's on now. That's on now.
All I was going to say is I'm delighted to see that. I understand from having engaged with this myself in a variety of forms for many years, the Chatterley Valley site, but I mean, it's very nice to see that this is going forward, and I think it will be a major asset, particularly for the Kidsgrove end of the borough. So I very much welcome what we've heard this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Fear. Councillor Burnett.
I don't know if I should have declared some sort of interest because I'm actually on the town deal board for Kidsgrove for the sports centre.
Well, thank you for making us aware of that. That's all you need.
I think everybody knew anyway. But the only thing I would be interested in is, do we know when the lifts are going to be functional at the station? Because they've been in place now for 2 months, but they're still not working.
I'm afraid not. So it's a network rail issue. And I think they were doing safety testing last time I was on site there, but I really couldn't give you a date when they're going to be operational.
Is that directly a network rail issue, or is it in any way incumbent within the works that we're doing?
No, it was the people who are familiar with the railway station projects know that Network Rail and East Midland Rail have for some time this aspiration to improve the railway station. But they were hampered by underground mine workings, and there's of course considerable delays in that area. So actually to see even the buildings in place for the lifts to be there felt like a significant step forward. So when I said that this is part of the wider plans to create the transport hub, those improvements to accessibility of the railway are part of Network Rail's contribution to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I could, in the 60s and early 70s, I used to spend every summer holiday on the canals of this country. And for people who don't really know canals, the significance of Harecastle is really massive. And I think Brindley is buried as enough of it, Newcastle Church, who Brindley and Telford are the two big canals people. So I think the idea that we can build on the heritage of Kidsgrove with canals, there's a lot of money on canals, on boats on canals, and trying to build into that link. And I think that's a really exciting part. So I spent weeks and weeks every summer on canals. So I do my way around them, and this is a big thing Harecastle Tunnel is, and I think it's a good thing to build on for this. And I think it's good investment to make for the people of Kidsgrove to bring people into Kidsgrove. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other questions, members, on Kidsgrove? No. So we'll move on to the Newcastle town deal. Any members like to raise any points, please? No, I think it's relatively at its early stages, still in its formation, isn't it? And as Stantec have been appointed, they are now working with all of the subgroups. So there should be a more substantive update, particularly on Newcastle at the next committee. Okay. Right, in that case then, thank you. We will move on to item 7, which is the work programme. Now, because 2 substantive items were not able to be discussed tonight, they will be automatically moved to the March meeting, which is the update on the borough local plan and the update from the bid. There will also be the standard update, as we've just had now, on the 2 town deals and the Future High Streets Fund. So that will pretty much be the March agenda. If there's anything anybody else likes to put on the work programme as normal, please make myself or Democratic Services aware, and we will consider that. Item 8 is probably question time. I've not been made aware of any, and item 9 is urgent business, of which I have not been made aware of any. So very short meeting tonight, members. We will now close at 24 minutes past 7. I wish you a safe journey home and a very pleasant Christmas. Thank you.